So I've been going and playing through the game again on WoW as a Goblin Rogue, and when I'm playing my Rogue and leveling through like places like Ajara, like even in Stranglethorn Vale, stuff like that, you see like all the cartel business, all the Goblin cartels, and it got me wondering, like how powerful are these cartels? Because we know the cartels exist. We know that these cartels are out there. Do we know that they base on Kezan and in Undermine and all that? So I was asking myself, how powerful, like considering the levels of like the Alliance and Horde, is like all the cartels combined? Now, let's start with some backstory. First off, we only know of two cartels. We know of the Bilgewater Cartel, and we know of the Steamweedle Cartel. Bilgewater Cartel is the cartel that joined the Horde. All Goblin players are usually a part of the Bilgewater Cartel. And then there's the Steamweedle Cartel, who is like the top dog of all the cartels. At least lore-wise, they are like the biggest, the most expansive. Their trade prince is the richest. And so usually with these cartels, they have their own trade prince, like I mentioned earlier. Trade Prince Steamweedle is like the leader of the Steamweedle cartel. Trade Prince Gallywix is for the Bilgewater and all that. They have massive trade fleets, like fucking like massive, like huge trade fleets. Like we're talking like huge, big trade fleets, like that expand the entire globe of Azeroth. And they have private armies, and these private armies, I assume, have to be big if they're going to protect all these riches and stuff being sent to all these different ports of the world, so I assume that's pretty big too. And so all these cartels, and also these Goblin organizations, like the Venture Co. is one of them, they're all part of something called the Trade Coalition. Now the Trade Coalition is basically another name for the Goblins' giant merchant empire. The Goblins, basically all trade is done through the Goblins. Like literally everything that is traded probably in Azeroth most likely goes through one of the cartels and then is shipped off to any of them. We know that the past cartels, or not past cartels, but in the past the cartels have warred with each other. They have fought in these things called the trade wars, which are basically these conflicts that were fought in Kezan and in Undermine that were fought in stores and buildings and storerooms and tunnels, basically all over the entire island and underground. Did they have a front line? Not really. It was just kind of like this chaotic mess. It was almost like if a gang fight were happening. Like think like Mean Streets of Gadgetzan type of, fighting, like just this crazy like roughhousing and all that. We know that the cartels are more than capable of supplying an entire outside army, an entire faction, i.e. the Horde. The Horde has most of its trade through the Goblin cartels. Most of the Goblins cartels supply the Horde. They side with the Horde, but most remain neutral, but their business mainly goes toward the Horde, unless you are a part of the Bilgewater cartel. Now, with all that said, how strong, economically and militarily, are the cartels? Now, this was something that I knew about economically. I knew immediately that economically the Goblins were strong as hell. Basically, as I said earlier, all the money runs through the cartels. All the supplies, all the food, everything. If say if the cartels were to go to like the Horde and the Alliance, or either or, and they were to say, we're not going to trade with you anymore. Now, you don't think that would be a big deal, but for the Horde would be economically crushed. And I say this because the Horde literally depends on the cartels to like ship their stuff. Like all Horde like machinery and supplies normally go through cartels, because who else is going to trade with the Horde? Everybody else is on the Alliance side. the goblins are the only force that could supply the Horde. And so the Horde, since the beginning, has relied on these cartels. And so if the cartels were to pull out, basically the Horde goes to hell, and the Horde is crushed. They can't come back in terms of money. They would have to find new ways. It's almost the same with the Alliance, but the Alliance is more like self-sufficient, but the Horde isn't. Horde is very not self-sufficient. You can see that in all the Alliance Horde wars and everything else that's happened. But with the Alliance, they're very self-efficient. They have their own trade routes. They have their own thing. Now, of course, they do small business with the cartels, but if the cartels were to pull out of Alliance, cities and all that, and stop trading with the Alliance, you would see a shift, but not as drastic as the Horde. The Horde would literally go down as if this is the 2008 recession. It would literally look like the Great Depression. Like it would be insane. And the Alliance would just be like, we could bounce back. Like, I would probably say the Alliance is more like the recession, and then the Horde is like the Great Depression, where they don't even know what to even do anymore, and the Alliance is like, we'll bounce back, we got this. Now, let's move on to military-wise. Military-wise, I don't think the cartels could ever be strong, only because they are not united. The cartels, they have a union with the trade, what do I call it, coalition, coalition, but they don't trust each other. They don't like each other enough to ever ally themselves and go to war with someone. But hypothetically, if they were to all unite, combine together by themselves, they could single-handedly fight a long war with either or both the Alliance and Horde and put up a fair fight. The cartels could basically rival the main two factions in the entire game. That's something that a lot of people don't really realize, that the Goblin Cartels they're strong. They have strong things, and they can do it. Will they? No. No, the Goblin Cartels would never, ever, go to war with either the Alliance and Horde, and the main reason is that it's just money. The Goblin Cartels, the Goblins are greedy. They don't want to lose money, and fighting a war with either the Alliance and Horde means that they're losing money. The Bilgewater Cartel was probably one of the strongest, but then they sided with the Horde, and so basically all their business is lost in the Alliance, so they basically lost money. It's just something like that. They don't want to lose money, so it would never happen. They would never pull out a trade with the Horde or the Alliance or go to war with either one. Would they ever unite together and fight against a foreign threat? Say if Bolvar becomes super aggressive, breaks out of the Frozen Throne and starts trampling over Azeroth, would they unite together and fight? Well, maybe. Well, maybe after the Alliance and the Horde resources are exhausted, and they're like, all right, we gotta go in and mess this up because we're the Goblin Cartels. We got this. And that's really the only time I would ever see the Goblin Cartels uniting, is if all hell's breaking loose on Azeroth. They don't know what to do. The Alliance and Horde are about to fall. They're big two investors and money proprietors, and they're like, all right, we gotta do something. Yeah, that's really it. The Goblin Cartels are really powerful, really strong. You should be scared of them. Don't underestimate a goblin. Okay? You might hate a goblin, you might want to kick a goblin, you might want to punch a goblin, you might want to kill a goblin, but remember, they have cartels that could single-handedly wipe you off the face of the earth. It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, or if you want me to talk about something else, please let me know in the comments, or on the Dave Bead website, whatever suits your fancy or your bubble or whatever that saying is. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.